Dunedin is set to rock, gently perhaps, to classic hits from the 60s, 70s and 80s. But the hits of the inaugural New Zealand International Early Music Festival are more likely from the 1360s or 1580s. Christopher Clifford is Artistic Director for the festival, which begins in March, and he joins us tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, Rebecca.
Tell us what early music is. How do you define it?
Yes, it is easy to define. It's really music before 1760 is early music. But that's about 1,000 years of music, and we're looking at the medieval period, which is pre-1400, the Renaissance period, 1400 to 1600, and then the Baroque period, much better known, from 1600 to 1760.
What sort of instruments are used?
It's a great variety of instruments. Harpsichord especially, very important. Cornetti, shawms, recorders, crumhorns, small organs, lutes, violas, and so on and so on.
Now, what is it about early music that appeals to you?
Well, I think really it's the contrast between the different instruments, the voices, the rhythmic complexity and also simplicity and the symmetry of early music. It's well known, for instance, that listening to Baroque music is good for the soul, and you can really concentrate if you listen to music.
Now, you've been working on the festival since 2012. What has that involved?
Well, that's been quite a long trawl. I started a trawl on the internet, of course, to start with, to see who's out there, what early music groups were around the world. I noticed that New Zealand didn't have an early music festival, so I thought, well, why not? We should have one. So I thought this is the moment to begin, and that was in the middle of 2012. And I contacted various groups, mainly in Australia and also in New Zealand, because we want to start with people close at home, because obviously if you start importing people from Europe, it costs a lot of money.
So, who have you got coming?
Well, I've got some interesting people. Douglas Muse harpsichord from Wellington. I've got Lois Johnston from Christchurch, she's soprano, Thomas Hernick, cello, and we've got our own groups too here in Dunedin, you know. The Rare Birds, we've got the Southern Consort of Voices, the Cathedral Choir, and they'll all be featuring in 9 days of heavenly music.
What do you expect to be the highlight?
I think probably the opening and the closing concerts. The opening concert is about the Tudors, Henry VIII, of course, and that'll be music by Tallis and Bird, with the Rare Birds, the Southern Consort of Voices and Les Belles Vilaines, who are going to dance as well. So we're going to have sacred music and secular music in the same concert.
Now, you've suggested that you want this festival to be an annual event. What has to happen for that to take place?
People have to come to it is the answer to that one. So we want people to turn out, obviously, in overwhelming numbers for the first festival, because then people who want to sponsor it always want to know how many people came to the festival, and that's a pretty big deciding factor.
What about funding? How have you managed to pay for the things, the flyers and what have you, for this festival?
Well, the Otago Community Trust has been very helpful, and they've been very generous to start us off. People have made donations as well. So, but from a small base, we can grow, and next year we can certainly ask for a lot more money.
Wonderful. Christopher Clifford, Artistic Director of the New Zealand International Early Music Festival. Thanks very much for your time.
A pleasure. Thank you, Rebecca.